Hello everyone and welcome back to Classic Comics. This is my review of The Expanse Season 5 Episode 2. Now this review will have spoilers, so if you plan to watch the episode, do that first, then come back and watch this video. Now, let's just get into this. So the episode begins with a ship that's been attacked by Belter pirates and sends out a mayday. This attack is interrupted by the arrival of another ship, this one commanded by Kamina Drummer. Now, Drummer is a Belter who used to work for Fred Johnson on Tycho Station. In the third season, he gave her command of a ship. Her second in command on that ship was another Belter named Clays Ashford. Now, Ashford and Drummer didn't really get along at first, but they eventually developed a respect for one another. Now, Ashford set out last season to find Marco Inaros, the Belter who's plotting a revolution against Earth. He eventually found Marco, and Marco had him killed. Drummer tells the pirates that she controls this area of space now, and they have to give her 10% of whatever they take in during this attack. The pirates tell her to F off, and she has a second ship which launches missiles which damage the pirate ship, and they agree to cooperate. As they leave the scene, Drummer gets a message that Ashford's ship has actually been found floating in space. We then go to Baltimore, and we get a look at Earth, which you don't really see that often on this show. We see several signs promoting jobs off-world in the ring worlds. I particularly like the sign that's promoting cricket protein. Now we see Amos, who's come back to Baltimore, and he finds the apartment that belonged to Lydia, the woman that helped to raise him. Here he meets Charles. Charles and Lydia spent the last 10 years living together. Amos asks about Lydia, and Charles tells him that Lydia died in her sleep from an aneurysm. We also learn in this scene that Amos's name isn't really Amos. His real name is Timothy. Amos, or Timothy, learns that the apartment belonged to Lydia. It was given to her as a gift from someone she used to know, and now that she's dead, the apartment is being reclaimed by the person who owns it. Amos asks who that is, and Charles says that all he knows is it's someone named Eric. Amos tells him not to pack up and leave just yet. So it's an interesting scene. Amos is Amos, which is to say he's aloof and belligerent when he meets Charles, and it seems like he might actually attack the guy, but Amos realizes that he and Lydia seem to have a good relationship. We learn a bit about Timothy's past here. We learn that he was pimped out, basically, at a very young age for men when he was young, but when he got older, he became muscle for some local hoods. Lydia helped him to survive, and he eventually found his way out. He clearly knows who this Eric person is, and he sets out to find Eric and talk to him. Meanwhile, back on Tycho Station, Holden receives a message from Monica, the reporter that he met with last episode, who admits that she didn't tell him the whole truth last time. She tells him that she has more information about who's working on the proto-molecule than she admitted to previously, and wants to meet with him to discuss it. At first, Holden doesn't want to, but if Holden has proven anything on this show, it's that if you dangle the proto-molecule in front of him, he really can't resist it. He goes to her hotel room and finds that she's gone, and a struggle has taken place. He finds her phone underneath her bed, and he calls Fred Johnson to tell him what's happened. We then go to Mars, where Alex stops by Bobby Draper's place to talk, and she shows him the weapons that she's been buying on the black market for several months, and tells him about how she's working with Avasarala to find out who's behind it. She mentions that she has a possible lead on someone selling stealth missiles, which Alex notes are first strike weapons. Bobby explains that she's running out of contacts and time, and shows him all the people she's considering as possible leads. Alex sees that one of her suspects is a Martian admiral named Salvatore, who he served under in the past. Now, Alex challenges her suspicions about him and asks if she's talked to him. She says that, well, he's an admiral, and it would look suspicious if she just walked up and started a conversation about illegal weapons, So Alex volunteers to meet with him and talk to him and feel him out. Back on Tycho, Fred Johnson has his security team looking for Monica, but the video cameras in the hall outside her hotel room were erased, so it looks like someone in security may have actually been in on it. Then we see Monica waking up, and she's bound hand and foot and is in some kind of a cargo container. We then go back to Mars, and Alex goes to the Martian War College, where Admiral Salvatore is giving a lecture and tries to speak with him. Now, Salvatore says that since Alex is now flying a stolen Martian ship for an Earth captain, they have nothing to really talk about. Then Alex is approached by a female lieutenant named Babbage, who says she'd be interested in hearing more about the ring gate since Alex has been there. They agree to meet later, and then Alex leaves. After he's gone, Salvatore tells Babbage to find out what Alex is up to and why he's here. On the moon, Avasarala is involved in a meeting with Secretary General Gao, Admiral Delgado, and a couple of other people, and brings up the destruction of the research vessel last episode, suggesting that Marco Inaros is behind it. And Secretary General Gao asks Admiral Delgado what he thinks, and he says it's unlikely that she tells Avasarala to drop the subject. Back in Tycho, Holden gets a message from Monica on his phone. It's video footage of the cargo container that she's in, and she's taking it with a contact lens camera that she's wearing, but there's no sound and no way for them to speak with her. They realize she's in a cargo container, but there are thousands of them on Tycho, and they have no way of knowing which one she's in. This is a problem because in attempting to escape from the container, she's created a small opening and now her air is starting to leak out. They start scanning cargo containers in infrared because a container with her in it will be warmer than the others. They find one like that and then they open it, but it contains soil and she's not there, and so they have to keep looking. Back in Baltimore, Amos is taken to meet Eric. When they meet, we learn a lot about Amos, or rather about Timothy's past. Eric and Timothy were working for a drug dealer named Amos Burton many years ago. They were best friends, and Amos told Timothy to kill Eric. Instead, Eric and Timothy made an arrangement. Timothy killed Amos and then assumed his identity, while Eric took over Amos's drug operation. Eric promised to take care of Lydia for the rest of her life, while Amos agreed to leave Baltimore and was never going to come back. Eric is pissed that Timothy's back in town and suspects that he's up to something, but Timothy insists that he just wants Eric to let Charles keep the apartment until he dies, which Eric agrees to. Then he tells Timothy that if he ever comes back to Baltimore, Eric is going to have him killed. Now back on Tycho, they find Monica just in time to save her. Then we go back to the moon where Avasarala and Admiral Delgado are having a drink together. Avasarala asks Admiral Delgado why he thinks the research vessel was destroyed, and he doesn't know, suggesting that it was just random piracy. She points out that Belter attacks inside the inner part of the solar system are very rare because it's too dangerous for them. In the outer solar system, it's much safer to operate as there are fewer eyes watching, and if the victim even sends a distress signal, it may be days or even weeks before someone can arrive to help. Admiral Delgado admits that piracy as a motive doesn't make a whole lot of sense and suggests that the mission was the research vessel, or rather that the mission the research vessel was on might have something to do with it. In Baltimore, Amos sends a message to Avasarala saying that he's leaving Earth soon, but wants to meet with someone first and needs her help to arrange it, and the episode ends there. So this episode really centers on Amos, or rather on Timothy, a lot, and we get a look at his past life for the first time. There's some flashback sequences that are really kind of touching, showing a young Timothy and Lydia caring for him. Lydia was not his mother. She was a prostitute, I guess, I'm not really sure, who took an interest in him and looked out for him when he was young. Now, learning these things about Amos I know his real name is Timothy, but I've been calling him Amos for the last 4 seasons, so I'm just going to keep calling him that. From the beginning, Amos has been an odd character. He's always been blunt and clinical in his relationships with other people, to the point of it almost being a psychological defect. Given his childhood, he's pretty inured to violence and to the pain and suffering of other people. At first, he was loyal to no one except Naomi, and while he's extended that loyalty to Holden and Alex as well, he's still something of a sociopath, and he'll get violent or even kill people with little provocation. So seeing him take an interest in Charles shows how much that he has changed over the course of the show, and also how much Lydia must have meant to him. This show continues to do just a great job of juggling multiple storylines and characters. There are at least half a dozen different plot lines that the show is following at any given moment, and they all have interesting characters involved in them and multiple plot twists that they keep interesting. I know I'm kind of picking on The Mandalorian, but if you compare that show where we basically have one main plot line and most episodes are pretty predictable, it just shows how the writing on that show just doesn't compare to the level of complexity of the writing on The Expanse. And while all of this is going on, we still have the asteroid that Marco has directed at Earth, which is now just 22 hours away from hitting Earth. So another excellent episode. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments, and also hit the like button before you leave. Also, please subscribe and hit the bell, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.